In this video, I'm going to show you how to get perfectly timed transitions every time when DJing. Let's get into it. When first learning to DJ, you ideally want tracks that are specifically designed for DJing with. These are tracks with intro beats at the start of the track and outro beats at the end of the track. These tracks are different than the tracks you might hear on Spotify or on the radio that don't have any intro beats at the start or outro beats at the end. So for example, we're in Beatport here, which is a DJ specific platform. And what I'm going to do is just go into genres and then scroll down to house. And then just go to the top 100. And we're just going to use this first track, which is at the top of the charts at the minute, which is called Feel This Way by Josh Baker. Now with DJ specific tracks, the intros and the outros are mainly just made up of just drums. So if I press play at the start of this track now, you'll hear that it's mainly just drums at the start for the intro. And this goes on for quite a while until the main elements of the track are introduced. And if we go to the end of the track as well, you'll hear that it sounds very similar. So this is the outro of the track. But now, for example, if I go into Spotify and I search for the track Feel This Way and drag the same track up on the left-hand side, if we now listen to the start and the end of this track, you'll hear that it is different. Feel this way. Feel this way. So this track starts straight away with vocals and some melody, and it very quickly goes into the main part of the track where the bass line comes in. And if we listen to the end of the track as well, you'll hear that it's still got the main elements in there and just ends all of a sudden. So the tracks that you find on Spotify and that you hear on the radio are going to be a lot more difficult to mix, especially when first learning to DJ. And this is one of the main mistakes I see beginner DJs make, is they just connect Spotify to their DJ software, thinking they've got access to pretty much all the tracks in the world and try to learn how to DJ with those tracks. But it's going to make it a lot more difficult for you without the intro beats at the start and outro beats at the end to mix with. Now the reason why the tracks that are made specifically for DJing, like this track on the right hand side, and it just has drums at the start and just drums at the end, is because drums can be layered over the top of other tracks and still sound good. So it makes it a lot easier to mix the track in and introduce the track nice and slowly. So for example, what I'm going to do now is go back to Beatport, get another DJ specific track, and I'm going to use Edge of Desire. The reason why I'm using this track is because I've recently just been on holiday and this track got played quite a lot, so I'm quite fond of it at the moment and quite like the track. So what I'm going to do now, just for the purpose of this video, to get both these tracks at the same speed, because as you might have noticed, there is a big BPM difference. The track on the left is 123 beats per minute and the track on the right is 133. So I'm just going to beat sync both of these tracks up right now, just so they're at the same speed. And I'm going to show you that if I put the intro drums over pretty much any part of this track on the left, it's still not going to sound bad and it won't clash. So let's get this track here. When it drops, I'm just going to press play. So right now I've got the intro beats of the other track over the top of this track, and you can't really tell much of a difference. It doesn't interrupt the track too much. So I'll pull this out and back in. Let's do that again. So just got the drums on the right hand side. So hopefully, as you can hear then, layering them intro drums over the other track doesn't sound bad. It doesn't interrupt it and it doesn't clash with any of the main sounds of the other track. Now what we don't want when we're DJing and mixing two tracks together is any of the main sounds and the main elements of the track overlapping and playing at the same time. This is going to result in clashing and it's going to sound bad to the audience. So the main elements and the main sounds of the tracks that I'm referring to are the bass lines, the instruments, and the vocals. These are the sounds that when I teach my students in my online courses that I refer to as the significant sounds. This is because they are significant to the track. If I was to play you some instruments from a track or some vocals, you should instantly recognize that track, and it will be unique and specific to that track. So for example, if I was to play this melody to you now, you should recognize it. And if I was to play you these vocals, you'll probably recognize these as well. Can I be
want your hands up on my body.
However, if I was to play these drums to you, you're probably less likely going to know what track it's from. Now, the drums I actually played you then was the actual intro to the track Ferrari. And hopefully you'll get the idea that sounds such as the bass lines, instruments and vocals are significant to the track, and I class the drums as non-significant. So what I teach as a general rule when first learning to DJ is you don't want two of the same significant sound playing at the same time. So for example, you don't want two bass lines from two different tracks playing at the same time, you don't want two instruments from two different tracks playing at the same time, and you also don't want two vocals from two different tracks playing at the same time. Now you can have two different significant sounds playing at the same time. For example, you can have the melody from one track playing at the same time as a vocal from another track, but that's a little bit too advanced for this video, and that's when we start getting into the realms of creating mashups. For now, we're just sticking with basic transitions and trying to get a perfectly timed transition. And how we're going to do that is we have to time our tracks so that when one track's significant sounds ends, the next track's significant sounds begin. So that's when these sounds such as the bass line, instruments and vocals end on one track and just go into the drums and the outro. We then want the next track's bass lines, instruments or vocals to come in at that point so it has a nice smooth transition and sounds good to the audience. So let's imagine the track on the left hand side, Edge of Desire, is playing to the audience first and we want to mix from this track over into the track Feel This Way. What we need to do is find where those significant sounds end and the track goes just into the drums, which I am assuming will be around here. Let's have a listen. Alright, yeah, we've still got a little bit of melody there and some bass line. But it looks like the outro beats start around here where it's just drums. Yep, and it just goes into the drums there. So that's the start of the outro. So what I'm going to do is just wind this back and set a hot cue just here, just as that outro starts. So now we put a visual marker at the point where the significant sounds end, and it goes into just the drums and the outro. Now what we need to do is go to the track we're mixing in next and find where the end of the intro is and where the significant sounds start. So what I'm going to do is just put the track around here and we'll have a listen. Alright, so we've still got just drums. Alright, so we've got a few little bit of elements coming in there, a little bit of a vocal, but it's just a vocal hit. It's not really the vocals. Alright, so that's the point there where I would say the vocals come in and there's a little bit of melody as well. So what I'm going to do is just wind that track back to this point here. This is the point where the intro ends and the significant sounds start. I'm going to set a hot cue just here as a visual marker. So what we need to do to get a perfectly timed transition is make sure that these 2 points here cross over at the same time. And what will happen is the significant sounds will end on the track we're mixing out of, just as the significant sounds come in on the track we're mixing in next. That will result in no flat parts in our mix where it's just drums by itself, and there's also no clashes of significant sounds either that might sound bad to the audience. It's a smooth transition from the main elements of one track into the main elements of the next track. But when we're DJing, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get it so that these 2 points cross over and time perfectly? What we need to do is set what I call timing hot cues. Timing hot cues are hot cues that you set earlier in the track that will tell you when to start mixing. And the best place that I have found to set my timing hot cues is 32 beats before the significant hot cue. So these 2 hot cues that we've set here, where the significant points change, are what I call significant hot cues. So on the outro on the left hand side here, the significant hot cue is just as the significant sounds end, and on the right hand side, the significant hot cue is the hot cue where the significant sounds begin. Now I know I'm saying the word significant a lot, but hopefully it'll still get the point across and you understand what I mean. And what I'm going to do, just for the purpose of this video so it makes it clearer, I'm going to change these significant hot cues to a different color, and I'm going to set them as purple. So what we need to do to get our timing right is beat jump backwards 32 beats on this track on the left, the track we're mixing out of. So let's go to beat jump. Now you can do this on your screen or you can also do it on your performance pads as well. But all we need to do is go backwards, which is to the left, 32 beats. So it's going to jump us back 32 beats in the track and take us to this point. Then we need to go back to hot cue and just set a hot cue here. So this green hot cue now is going to be our timing hot cue to let us know when to start mixing. And to make this work, we have to do the exact same on the right hand side. So the track we're mixing in next. Change it to beat jump, go backwards 32 beats, go back to hot cue, and set a hot cue here just as a visual marker. We'll have it green, and this is our timing hot cue to mix in. So all we need to do now, when this track on the left hand side is playing, when it gets to the green timing hot cue, we start the track on the right hand side at the same green timing hot cue, and then both the purple hot cues, where the significant sounds swap over, should cross over at the same time. Let's have a listen to that mix. Alright, so hopefully you agree that that is a perfectly timed mix, where one track's significant sounds ended, the next track's significant sounds started, and there was no flat parts in the mix, and there was also no clashes of significant sounds where they both played at the same time. So this technique that I'm actually teaching you right now is one of the techniques that I teach in my online DJ course. So right now we're actually looking at my online DJ course, and what I've taught you in this video is part of the one phrase system. As you can see, I've got a few more systems that I teach to help you get perfectly timed mixes, and these techniques are just part of the basic dance and house music mixing techniques that I teach. If we go back to the sections and scroll down, we also have the advanced dance and house music mixing techniques section, which teaches you things like momentum mixing, how to mix out of a track early, how to mix over a break, how to mix in with vocals, creating live mashups with stems, creating a build-up with loops, and so many more techniques. I've been a professional DJ for over 15 years, and every single technique that I use when I DJ live is included in this online DJ course. It's also designed for complete beginners, so if you are just starting out, this could be perfect for you. These are the sections of the course, and it goes from setting up your DJ controller and software, how to find your music, the theory behind DJing, how to beat match, and then you get into the mixing techniques. So if you are interested in learning how to DJ and learning all the techniques that I have used when I DJ live, click the link in the description of this video and it'll take you to this page, and all you need to do is watch this video here and it'll explain everything about the DJ course and you can see if it's a right fit for you. Now what we're going to do is the same technique back the other way. So we're going to imagine the track Feel This Way is playing to the audience, and we're going to mix out of this track into the track Edge of Desire. So first what we need to do is find where the significant sounds end and where the outro begins, where it's just drums, which I think should be around here. Alright, yeah, we've still got some bass line there, and we can see just the drums coming up here where it's just the outro. Alright, so hopefully as you can hear that, it goes from bass line into just drums, so we'll wind this back. And we're going to set our significant hot cue just here, and this is where the significant sounds end. Let's color it purple, and then on the track on the left, we need to find where the intro ends and the significant sounds begin. I think it should be around here. Yeah, so that's mainly just drums still. And I think we can see the bass line coming up here where the red waveform gets a little bit thicker. Yeah, and then the bass line comes in there. Now you might not be able to hear that bass line come in if you're listening on just a phone speaker, but if you've got some good headphones on or listening through some good speakers, you should be able to hear that bass line. And what we're going to do here is set our intro significant hot cue. So I'll set a visual marker, color it purple. This is our significant hot cue where the intro ends and the significant sounds begin. So to get a perfectly timed mix, we want these 2 points to pass over and cross over at the same time. So when the main sounds and the significant sounds of the track Feel This Way ends, the main elements and the significant sounds on the track Edge of Desire start. So to get our timing right, we need to set our timing hot cues. So on the track on the right that we're mixing out of, we need to go to beat jump back 32 beats, which takes us to this point. Set a hot cue just here as a visual marker, and this is where we're going to start mixing. So for it to time right, we need to do exactly the same on the left hand side. Let's go to beat jump back 32 beats, which is the same distance. Set a hot cue just here, and this is where we're going to start mixing. All we need to do is line up these green hot cues, and our mix should time perfectly. Let's have a listen to that and see how it sounds. Alright, so again, hopefully you'll agree there, that is a perfectly timed mix, timed so that when one track's significant sounds ended, the next track's significant sound started. Now some people out there might be asking why 32 beats? Both the intros of these tracks are twice as long, so you could actually do this with 64 beats, which is completely correct. If you were mixing these two tracks together, you could set the timing hot cue 64 beats before the significant hot cue and do a longer transition. Now the reason why I find 32 beats a little bit better is because it can apply to more scenarios. So even though these two tracks' intros are 64 beats long, if we were to use a track that was only 32 beats long on the intro, the system of these hot cues wouldn't fit. So for example, if we drag another track up on the right hand side here, and we listen to the start of this and listen to when the significant sounds come in. Alright, so just at the start here, we've got just drums, this is the intro. And then just coming up here, 32 beats in is the bass line. So this track doesn't have a very long intro. So what I would do here is go to where the significant sound started, which is just here, wind that back, set a significant hot cue, color it purple, and then beat jump back 32 beats, which would take us to the start of the track. Then we'll set a timing hot cue, and what we have here is a system that should work every time on your tracks. So now if we were to mix out this track Edge of Desire into this new track, the timing should still work perfectly. Have a listen. So hopefully you can see then the significant sound swapped over at the correct time, and that was a perfectly timed mix. So that is one reason why I prefer to use 32 beats instead of a longer timing hot cue or a longer intro of 64 beats, because 32 beats fits more scenarios. Now you obviously don't just want to wait until the timing hot cue comes up and then press play at full volume on the new track and just let it run out like I did in those examples. You obviously want to use the mixer and mix the tracks in nice and smoothly, use some of the EQ dials and do a smoother transition. And if you want to learn how to do that, I've done a video explaining how to mix like a pro using only 3 things, and I'll put a link to that up here right now. So if you do want to know how to mix 2 tracks together using the mixer, check out that video next and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in the future. Bye for now.